A few months ago, Pastor Dave asked all of the staff, what does the Bible say about the voice of God? And the two passages that really came to my mind were God speaking to Moses in the storm, and his voice came out like a quiet whisper amongst the midst of the chaos. And when God was calling Samuel, and he kept confusing it for the voice of Eli. And that question stuck with me because I knew that there was more that was said. I just didn't know it off the top of my head. And recently I've been reading through Psalms and Proverbs, and I've had a couple passages that stuck out to me again about the voice of God. And the voice of God, it's wisdom when he speaks. And in Proverbs, wisdom is personified as this woman who is standing on the street corner shouting. And so it's in the midst of a busy marketplace, and people hear it and they choose to ignore it. But it's there. Everyone can listen. Everyone can hear it, gain wisdom, but people choose to walk by. And so it's our responsibility to help them hear that voice in the midst of all of the chaos, to choose to listen and follow that voice of wisdom. And there's a passage in Psalms that spoke a lot about the voice of God. And it was a great encouragement to me to know that this is the God that is on my side, helping me accomplish his mission. This is what Psalm 29 says. Acknowledge the Lord, you heavenly beings. Acknowledge the Lord's majesty and power. Acknowledge the majesty of the Lord's reputation. Worship the Lord in holy attire. Another way to say that, put some respect on his name. The Lord's shout is heard over the water. The majestic God thunders. The Lord appears over the surging water. The Lord's shout is powerful. The Lord's voice is majestic. The Lord's voice breaks the cedars. The Lord shatters the cedars of Lebanon. He makes them skip like a calf, Lebanon and Syrian like a young ox. The Lord's voice strikes with flaming fire. The Lord's voice shakes the wilderness. The Lord's voice shakes the wilderness of Kadesh. The Lord's voice bends the oaks and strips the leaves of the forest. Everyone in his temple says, majestic. The Lord sits enthroned over the engulfing waters. The Lord sits enthroned as the eternal King. The Lord gives his people strength. The Lord grants his people security. To me, it's encouraging that on my mission as I partner with God and what he is doing, that he is giving me strength, that he is granting security. And it's enlightening to me as I read this passage over and over again, how powerful our God is. Because conceptually, I understand that when God made the universe, he spoke it into existence. But my finite brain has sort of a hard time grasping the magnitude of that. But I can imagine an oak twisting as God speaks, or a forest that just has all of its leaves stripped at the voice of God. And so it helps me understand the majesty and glory of our God. And so I hope that that passage can be an encouragement to you as you join God in what he's doing.
It was actually Elijah, not Moses.